I'm Mel Allcott. I'm from Worcester. So I was born and bred here. I work locally. I'm a financial systems consultant working part-time for a local company. But my real passion is with politics. And I'm a Worcester City and a Worcestershire County Councillor. And I also run the Unity Group at Worcestershire County Council. And I'm the parliamentary candidate for Worcester this year. I was brought into politics through a real sense of fairness. I've always been interested, and I kind of went through life just bringing up my children, working full time. But it's always been something that's troubled me. I watch the news all the time. I watch Question Time, and instead of just looking around and seeing what's happening, I just really wanted to actually do something to really make an effect. And I think with politics, you really can make changes to people's lives. And so just trying to change people's lives for the better is what has brought me into politics. I became a Liberal Democrat because I looked around at the political system and I looked around at the Labour and the Conservative parties. And for me, Labour is very left and it looks at communism, and to me, that's gone. It can never work. And with the Conservative Party, they're very right wing and they have this sort of dream and they believe that the capitalist state can work for everything. And I absolutely don't believe that. And I've looked at Liberal Democrat policies and they're very centrist. And I think they work because we need good things. We need good public services. It's been proven with Severn Trent and other issues and all the utility companies. Private sector doesn't work for everything, but then not everything can be nationalised either. So I think there's a nice balance in the middle, and I think Liberal Democrats are a quite centrist party. And if you go back to sort of 1906, we brought things out such as the welfare state, and we are real reformists. So I think we are here and we think about things, and we are natural reformists, and we will make a difference. Yep, in the last election, I did receive the most votes across the city, more votes than any other councillor. And that just felt absolutely amazing. Yeah, I think having been a councillor for 5 years, I see it as a real validation for how well I've done and how people appreciate and know me. Yeah, and you can just think across, Worcester has over 100,000 people, and across everywhere, I've polled the most amount of votes. So yeah, it's really positive, really good. At Worcester City Council now, I am part of the Fab Five, and that is the five Liberal Democrat councillors we now have. We gained a seat, and we now have Councillor John Rudge with us, and so we've covered 2 wards, and it's just really good to have a larger group. And we've got a mix. We were an all-female group, but we now have John, so we have a bit more equality and diversity. And John brings a wealth of experience from teaching, and he knows so much about the environment as well. Yeah, and it's just an extra sort of bow to our arrow, really. I really look forward to being able to do that much more because we have more spaces on committees, and just more of us. So yeah, no, it's all good, all positive. Why do I want to become Worcester's next MP? I'm from Worcester. I was born here. I moved away a couple of times for work and family commitments, and I've since come back. I've seen some progress, but I've seen many, many areas where the city could really move a lot further forward and do a lot more. I look around at Worcestershire Royal Hospital, for example, and when that was built, it was built too small. It remains too small. No real changes have happened to that. I see a very congested city as well. The traffic is very difficult and it's never properly been tackled. I think the Conservative administration at Worcester County Council has never done anything to improve the situation. And I feel that if you had an MP who was on board and engaged, that would make a real difference. There are other areas as well. The schools, I look around at the school education system, and obviously my 2 daughters are at university now, but I've been through the whole system, and I just know that when you look across the city, so many children have, when they're moving from primary school to high school, for example, they have a choice of 3 places. Most children appear to get the 3rd choice, so there isn't really choice for children across the city. And with the transport system as well, you find a lot of children start out quite well meaning using public transport, but because it doesn't work, then they find themselves going back with their parents and they go in the car. Again, that impacts on congestion. So I see there's a lot we can do around health here, a lot around education and transport, and also the environment as well. We all know what Severn Trent's been doing, and it's been pumping the sewage into our rivers for so long. And alongside that, we know that Severn Trent is making a lot of money. It has a lot of profits, but it's also in a lot of debt as well. So it's borrowed money, it's paying its shareholders, and it's just essentially wrecking our rivers and our wildlife and our health. So that really needs to be addressed. And I think with the River Severn, there are more creative ways we can use it to create energy, and it's just sort of sat here. So that a lot again around there. And also, when you look at the River Severn, obviously the flooding has got worse year by year, but nothing really seems to be done about it, and we really need to address that. And I think again, I'd like to sort of do everything I can to support the equivalent of Worcestershire Warriors or something coming back to the city. We need good sports provision here. And I know the cricket club have been concerned and talking about leaving and want to make sure that absolutely doesn't happen, because it is so important for the city. And then I think, again, just looking around about some people across the city, how they're really struggling. So I'd really like to help people with the cost of their bills, the household bills, mortgages, rent, um, yeah, the energy bills. And I think there's a lot more can be done. And also we have a real mix of local business as well. We have a good retail offer and a lot of small businesses. And I think they need more support as well, and more networking. And I'd like to support that as well. People do say all MPs are the same. Um, and I am not, very much not the same. A lot of MPs have had a private education and they're career politicians, and they kind of live in their sort of Westminster bubble. That is very much not me. I'm very much an ordinary person. I've lived a fairly ordinary life. I've qualified as a chartered accountant. I've brought up 2 children. I live in a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. I have lived real life and for a long time. And I know about issues with health, and I've seen them with my own family. People who've been unwell, mental health problems, that sort of thing, and I've dealt with them on a personal basis. So I'm actually see myself as in and within the people, not as a career politician sort of looking from above. I do know what it's like to struggle with bills, and I do know what it's like to try and balance childcare and a career. Yeah, so I'm just very much a real person. I think that's what we need right now, especially when you look back and you think about all the scandals such as Partygate, etc., over COVID. I think you just need genuine people who care about where you live and about the people, and really resonate with them and can do things for them. What makes Worcester unique? I think it obviously it is the faithful city. We've had a lot of very famous historical battles here, but it is a special city. It's obviously very split in the middle with the River Severn, but it's just a nice mix. It's a city, but it's not so large a city. No, people do not know each other. It still has, everyone knows someone in Worcester, I would say. So it has that nice sort of almost town feel rather than a city. But it just has a real mix of things. And you've got the centre, you've got your shops, and we've got lots of things to do. We've got the riverside, but you just need to hop to the outskirts of Worcester, and it's really beautiful again. We've got all the countryside, and we've got obviously the River Severn you can enjoy in the city, but you can also enjoy it as you head out. And I think it's just a very special place. We have some great historical buildings here. We have the cathedral and the commandery. Um, yeah, so it is. And also we have the swans as well, and the swan sanctuary, um, which is well looked after. And it's always a pleasure to come out and see the swans by the river. Yeah. So I think we have a mix. I think just, yeah, so we're just kind of just right, really. Yeah, we're not too large a city, but we're not too small a village. If I become Worcester's next MP, my 3 top priorities will be the NHS, the cost of living crisis, and the environment and the River Severn in Worcester. Liberal Democrats have pledged to bring on an extra 8,000 GPs whilst in government, and I fully support that. And I would like to see more changes, and also with GP access. We're looking for people to have a right to see their GP within 7 days, and if it's urgent, within 24 hours. And I certainly want to see that for Worcester. And I'd like to see a much larger hospital provision. Our Worcestershire Royal Hospital is too small. That really needs addressing, and more GPs and dentists in the city, because I know what it's really like not to be able to get a GP appointment or a dental appointment, and the effect it can have on people. So absolutely health. And then moving on for that, I think with the cost of living crisis, we've seen it at schools, and teachers have reported how children are struggling. Yeah, so absolutely more support there, and with free school meals for children, and just more to support businesses as well, because the costs have been difficult, and just to help people with their bills. And then again, moving on from that, I think with the environment, an absolute stop and end to sewage being dumped into our rivers. We really have to stop that, and stop it now. And also on a more positive note, looking at the River Severn as a more alternative energy source. We have this natural resource here and we're not using it to best effect. Obviously, Worcester is quite unique, but it has one bridge that goes across the centre, and so many people, even just from Worcestershire, that they come here and they're like, oh, the traffic's awful, it's difficult, and they kind of avoid the city. So I'd really want an overhaul of the transport system. We need to get away from just having one bridge through the city. We need a city that's much more open to active travel as well, but without penalising the car drivers. But just to generate an overhaul transport system, and a city that moves around and also has better public transport. So whenever it's term time, it doesn't just ground to a halt. I think that's really important for Worcester. Oh, what do I say to all the people who have voted and supported me in the past? Thank you, first and foremost, absolutely. You've sort of put your trust in me, and you continue to do so, and more as we grow, and it's just very appreciated, and it's very humbling, and it's been lovely as over time I've got to know people, and particularly as I've been representing claims, I've got to know people so much more, and I would just love to be able to do that across the city, because there are so many of you out there, and I've only really had the chance to spend a lot of time in Claims, and it would just be lovely to meet. But no, a huge thank you to everyone, and you're so kind, and when we're out on the doorstep, you're just lovely. So thank you.